Back with the Scott Pilgrim Iceberg, layers 3 through 4. The Kid Chameleon game. Oh yeah, so since I forgot to bring this up in the last Iceberg video, I kind of have to bring this up each time someone new watches an Iceberg video. So basically, if you're new to Iceberg videos and you don't know what it is, then I have to explain this each Iceberg video I do, or at least each new Iceberg video I do. Basically, at the tip of the iceberg, you have the most known topics, but then the deeper you go and the more desperate and deep and whatever, you don't really know much of that stuff. So a flashback in volume 3 of the Scott Pilgrim book, The Infinite Sadness, is basically a flashback to the band with, Scott, Stills, Kim, Envy, Neil Young. And that's basically what the Kid Chameleon game was. Clash at the Demon Head game reference. So, Envy and Todd's band, Clash at the Demon Head, that actually wasn't created by Brian Lee O'Malley, well, not the name, but it was actually from this different game. Scott and Ramona plushes. So basically, there's these different Scott and Ramona plushes. That's actually really all. Scott Pilgrim Mezos toys. So basically, there's these different Mezcos, not Mezos toys like Scott Real Life 6. I can't find very much because, well, it says Scott's Little Life 6, but I could really find Scott Pilgrim's, Precious Little Life 1, from volume 1. Crosby, Stills, Nash, and Young. So basically, these are all references to real life things, except I couldn't really find any for Crosby and Nash. Basically, Young, that's for young Neil, and it's actually Neil Young, a real life singer. And then Stephen Stills is actually a real life singer too. Real life locations. So basically, if you watch the Scott Pilgrim movie, you might know that, it's set in Canada, Toronto. And, the movie actually, says that. And if you read the books, then you might know that it's set in Canada, Toronto too. But when you actually finish the book, it'll show the real life locations of, some of the locations in the book and movie. Here's an example of, Scott and Wallace's house. Alternate ending ideas. Basically, there's some alternate ending ideas for the movie, even though this was already explained in layer 1 of Iceberg. Scott the Woes versus Scott Pilgrim. So basically, there's a death battle video on YouTube of Scott the Woes versus Scott Pilgrim. Michael Cera's behavior on set. So basically, Michael Cera's behavior on movie set, he was not kinda for the role of Scott Pilgrim, but at the same time was, because awkwardness worked with the movie, but that wasn't it. He actually got a concussion and some injuries during some of the fight scenes in the movie. So the one with Lucas Lee / Chris Evans. The game was lost media. So basically, in 2014, on PS3 and Xbox 360, the Scott Pilgrim game was removed or delisted. There's not really a main reason for this, so just go with licensing issues, I guess. But it was basically removed and it was basically lost media for a while. And I actually owned the 360 version of the game, but then my brother deleted it, and he didn't know that it was actually delisted. But later on in 2020 and 2021, the game was brought back so they could, play it again. Sandra and Monica are named after Brian Lee O'Malley's classmates. So basically, Sandra and Monica are background characters in the Scott Pilgrim books. And basically, their names, they're actually Brian Lee O'Malley's middle school classmates' names. Scott Pilgrim game had a 5-month deadline. So basically, the game only had a 5-month deadline. So you only really get 50% of the game, while you're actually supposed to get 100% of the game, but you still kind of got most of the percent of the game, because if you think about the game, it's still good. Oh yeah, and the reason for it had a 5-month deadline It's mainly because when it was being made, it was put with a studio that didn't really have much experience in making, well, games. But then another studio kind of helped them, so then, now you have Scott Pilgrim. So, that was the third layer of the Scott Pilgrim iceberg. Now we move on to the fourth layer. Monica Beale. Monica Beale is Scott Pilgrim's, well, mother. I'm not really sure why this would be an iceberg. The style comic. So basically, there's a style comic that doesn't really revolve around Scott Pilgrim, but it revolves around like this other comic, just called Style. Ramona's appearance in Death Battle. So basically, in a Death Battle episode, Ramona is shown in she versed out Amy Rose from Sonic. Deleted scenes in the comic. So apparently there is about a few lost or just cut deleted comic scenes, but I couldn't find any. So here's one of the panels from volume 4. Valentine's Day pinups. So basically there's some Valentine's Day pinups, and I guess there's only like these 3 of them, or 4. The actors never blinked in the movie. So basically, all the actors didn't blink in the movie. Well, maybe a few times, but you couldn't really notice it. But they didn't blink because they wanted to make it feel more like the comic. Young Neil's original age. So basically, young Neil's, or Neil's by now, age, it was actually originally 9 instead of what he is now. Scott has schizophrenia, PTSD, and other things. Scott doesn't have schizophrenia or PTSD, it's just a glow that messes with his memory from Gideon. Kim was originally in a mutant super team. There's not really any information about Kim being in some super mutant team. The unit symbol is an upside down tree. So basically, Gideon Graves' logo for a League of Evil X's, it's just his Triforce logo from Zelda, just flipped over. Sarah, or Michael Cera, pretended to be bad at bass or bass. Basically, Michael Cera just pretended to be bad playing bass, because actually, when the movie started, Michael Cera already knew how to play bass, but all the other actors had to learn how to play instruments. Gideon, the G-Man, is a Half-Life reference, which the entry just explains itself. The reason why Stacy Pilgrim appears less as the series goes on. This is mainly because Brian Lee O'Malley didn't want Stacy to get a lot of attention, so she appeared less and less in the series, until probably volume 6 she finally appears, and she asks, like all the rest, why Ramona disappeared. The reason why Julie started to wear glasses. So this is actually because during when the movie was going on, Brian Lee O'Malley actually mistook Julie for Monica. Lisa's hair changes in the game. So basically, throughout the comics, Lisa's hair is blonde, and it stayed like that throughout the whole comic. But then in the game, it was for some reason pinkish. So that was layers 3 and 4 of the Scott Pilgrim iceberg. And then finally we'll move on to layers 5 and 6. Those are the final layers of the Scott Pilgrim iceberg. Also, thanks for watching the video, and live stream technically.